The huge crystal chamber floated in space above the calm blue world called Ilaris Prime. Inside, bright lights made the walls shine like stars caught in glass. Rows of seats rose in circles around the center. Beings from many different species sat there. Some looked like clouds of soft light. Others had hard shells like insects. A few had feathers, scales, or skin that changed color when they spoke. All of them watched the middle of the room with serious eyes. In the center stood two humans. The first was Ambassador Daniel Hayes. He was a man in his early 40s. His hair was short and brown. His eyes were gray and calm. He wore a simple dark suit. Next to him stood Captain Laura Bennett. She was tall and strong. Her navy uniform looked sharp and clean. A small gold pin on her collar showed she commanded a human warship. Both of them stood straight and did not move much. The meeting began when a tall figure rose from the highest seat. It was Elder Vorn of the Larathi people. His body was thin and pale. Long white hair floated around him like smoke. His voice sounded soft, but carried through the whole chamber like wind in an empty hall. "Humans," Elder Vorn said, "you have been called here because of your war with the Krell Dominion. That war lasted only 5 months. Many thought it would last 50 years or more. The Krell are strong. Their ships are many. Their soldiers do not fear death. Yet you defeated them completely. We want to know how." A low sound of agreement came from the other delegates. Some nodded. Others tapped claws or tentacles on their seats. Daniel Hayes looked up at Elder Vorn. He spoke in a clear, quiet voice. "We used the tools and plans we had, nothing more." Elder Vorn's long fingers moved slowly. "The Accords of Restraint forbid certain actions in war. No planet-killing weapons. No attacks on civilians. No poisons that spread forever. Your victory was too fast, too clean. Many here believe you broke those rules." Laura Bennett stepped half a step forward. Her boots made a soft click on the crystal floor. "We followed every rule written in the Accords," she said. "Every single one, until the Krell broke them first." A Zarathi delegate named Advisor Kale stood up. His skin was deep green. Sharp teeth showed when he spoke. "Lies," he hissed. "The Krell offered peace terms 3 times. You refused. You hunted their fleets. You destroyed their shipyards. You left no survivors in the battles near your outer colonies." Daniel raised one hand. The gesture was small but firm. The room became quiet again. "Let me show you," he said. He touched a small device on his wrist. A large hologram appeared in the air above them. It was a map of stars. Lines showed where battles happened. Red dots marked destroyed ships. Blue dots marked human losses. Everyone could see the pattern. The Krell had attacked first. They burned 3 human colony worlds. More than 2 million people died in fire and ash. After that, human ships moved fast and hard. They cut supply lines. They hit command centers. They ended the war before the Krell could reach Earth itself. The hologram faded. Silence filled the chamber again. Elder Vorn spoke once more. "Speed alone does not explain it. The Krell had greater numbers, better weapons in some ways, yet their leaders surrendered without a last stand. Why?" Daniel looked around the room. He saw fear in some eyes, respect in others, curiosity in most. "Because we showed them something," he said. "Something they could not ignore." Advisor Kale laughed. It was a sharp, angry sound. "What? More human tricks? More bombs?" Laura Bennett answered before Daniel could. "Not bombs. A choice. A very old choice humans have carried for a long time." He gave a small nod. Laura touched her own wrist device. A new hologram appeared. This one was different. It showed no battle maps. Instead, it showed old images from Earth's past. People saw black and white pictures of muddy fields, full of soldiers in old uniforms. Then bright flashes over cities. Huge clouds rose like mountains. Later images showed long rows of missiles in cold silos. submarines under ice, computers running numbers for attacks that would end whole nations in minutes. Daniel spoke while the images changed slowly. Long ago, humans fought each other. We learned one hard lesson. When a group thinks it will die, it stops fighting fair. It fights to make sure the enemy can never fight again. We call this total war. We hate it, but we remember how to do it. The hologram stopped on a single picture. It showed a simple metal box deep underground. Red lights blinked on its surface. Words in human language glowed next to it. Final protocol, authorized personnel only. Elder Vorn leaned forward. His voice was lower now. Explain this box. Daniel took a slow breath. It is part of our oldest defense plan. We built it after our own near wars. The plan is simple. If enemies reach our homeworld and start to win, if they plan to take everything from us, we have one last answer. We do not use it to win. We use it so no one wins. Advisor Kale crossed his arms. You threaten the galaxy? No, Daniel said. We threaten ourselves first, then the enemy. If they push us to the edge, we burn our own home so nothing is left for them to take, and we make sure the fire spreads far. A soft wave of shock moved through the delegates. Some turned to each other. Others stared at the humans with wide eyes. Laura Bennett spoke again. Her voice stayed calm. The Krell received proof. 48 hours before their last attack, they got a message. Inside were maps, locations, plans, every step of what we would do if they reached Earth. They saw the math, they saw the result. Total loss for everyone. No survivors, no future. They turned their fleet around. They asked for peace the next day. Elder Vorn looked straight at Daniel. And if we ask you to destroy this plan, to remove this shadow you carry? Daniel did not look away. Then we leave this council. We keep our promise to ourselves, because the only thing worse than having this plan is letting someone think we will never use it. The chamber stayed quiet for a long time. No one spoke. The lights above seemed colder now. Outside the crystal walls, stars burned in silence. Inside, two humans stood still. They waited. The first meeting was over, but everyone knew the real conversation had only just begun. The crystal chamber stayed quiet after Daniel Hayes finished speaking. The hologram of the old metal box with red lights had faded, but the image stayed in everyone's mind. Delegates looked at each other. Some moved in their seats. Others stared at the two humans like they were seeing them for the first time. Elder Vorn broke the silence. His voice was slow and careful. You speak of old lessons. You show us pictures from your past. But words and images are not enough. We need truth. We need facts. Tell us more about these lessons. Show us how they shaped what you did against the Krell. Daniel Hayes nodded once. He touched his wrist device again. A new hologram appeared. This one was bigger. It filled the center of the chamber, like a window to another time. The first scene showed Earth many hundreds of years ago. Muddy fields stretched far. Men in heavy coats and metal hats stood in long lines. Rain fell hard. Guns made loud bangs. Bodies lay everywhere. Smoke covered the sky. This was called the Great War, Daniel said. Millions died. Nations used every weapon they had. Gas that burned lungs. Bombs that tore men apart. They fought not just to win land, but to break the will of the other side. The picture changed. Now it showed cities on fire. Tall buildings fell. Bright flashes lit the night. Huge clouds rose like giants. People ran. Children cried. The air looked thick with dust. The next war was worse, Daniel continued. 2 cities ended in seconds. Hundreds of thousands gone. The leaders who ordered it said it would stop a longer war. They said it saved more lives in the end. We still argue about that today. But we remember the power. We remember what it means when someone decides there are no more rules. Laura Bennett watched the faces around her. Some delegates looked sick. A few closed their eyes. One small creature with many eyes turned a deep purple color. It showed long rows of tall missiles standing in snow. Men in thick coats walked under them. Lights blinked on control panels. Submarines moved under dark water. Their shapes looked like sharks. After that, Daniel said, we built weapons we hoped never to use. We pointed them at each other. Years passed. Leaders talked. Treaties were signed. But the weapons stayed ready. Why? Because both sides knew one simple thing. If one side attacked first, the other side could still answer. Even if cities burned and leaders died, machines would launch. The answer would come. No one could win, so no one started the final fight. Advisor Kale stood again. His green skin looked darker now. You brag about madness, he said. You built tools to kill everything, and you call that smart? Daniel looked straight at him. I call it survival. We learned that fear keeps peace better than hope sometimes. When everyone knows the cost is too high, fighting stops. The hologram shifted once more. Now it showed maps of space. Dots marked human colonies. Lines showed trade routes. Then red arrows appeared. The Krell fleet. They came fast. 3 colony worlds turned black on the map. Small numbers flashed. 2,000,000, 100,000, 800,000. Dead. Laura stepped closer to the hologram. She pointed at the red arrows. They did not stop at the colonies. They kept coming. Their messages said Earth would fall next. Their generals laughed on open channels. They said humans were weak, soft, easy to break. She paused. Her voice became harder. We sent warnings. We offered talks. They answered with more attacks, so we stopped asking. The hologram zoomed in. It showed human ships moving. Not many at first. Small groups. They hit supply ships. They cut fuel lines. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The Krell fleet slowed. Then it stopped. Daniel spoke again. We did not want this war. But when it came, we remembered our old lessons. We did not fight one battle at a time. We fought to end the chance of any more battles. A new image appeared. It looked like a simple chart. Lines and numbers. Arrows pointed to different points in space. Words glowed in red. Protocol eclipse. Level 1 activation sequence. Elder Vorn leaned forward. What is this? Daniel answered without looking away. It is the plan we built long ago. Not just for enemies from Earth. For any enemy. If they reach our homeworlds, if they start to win, if nothing else stops them, we turn on the final steps. The chart grew bigger. It showed hidden platforms in deep space. Some looked like rocks. Others floated near stars. Small stations waited under oceans on distant moons. Machines slept in the ground on empty planets. Laura explained in a flat voice. These are not normal weapons. They do not shoot ships. They change worlds. Mirrors in orbit catch sunfire and send it down. They start fires that burn for years. Machines open old mines and let poison gas spread. Seeds planted long ago wake up. They grow fast. They make air bad for lungs that are not human. Water turns bad. Soil dies. She stopped for a second. And the last part. Small machines that copy themselves. They fly out. They take metal from asteroids. They build more of themselves. They spread, slow, quiet. In 100 years a whole sector becomes empty. Nothing lives. Nothing grows. She stopped for a second. And the last part. Small machines that copy themselves. They fly out. They take metal from asteroids. They build more of themselves. They spread, slow, quiet. In 100 years a whole sector becomes empty. Nothing lives. Nothing grows. A low sound came from the delegates. Some whispered. A few stood up like they wanted to leave. Advisor Kale shouted, You would kill stars themselves? No, Daniel said. We would kill our own home first, so nothing is left to take. Then the fire spreads if they keep coming. It is not about winning. It is about making sure the enemy gains nothing, ever. The room became quiet again. You showed this to the Krell? He asked. Laura nodded. One message, one file, full maps, full plans. exact times, exact places. They saw it 48 hours before their biggest attack. Their high command looked at the numbers. They saw no way to win. They saw only loss. For them, for us, for everyone. They stopped. They sent one word back. Enough. Daniel looked around the chamber. We did not want to use it. We still do not. But we keep it ready. Because the moment we take it away, someone will think they can push us again. The hologram went dark. The chamber lights felt colder. No one spoke for a long minute. Then Elder Vorn said one word. Continue. Daniel and Laura stood still. They knew the hardest part was coming next. The silence in the crystal chamber felt thick and heavy. The last images from the hologram had disappeared, but the words about Protocol Eclipse still hung in the air. Delegates sat very still. Some looked down at their hands or claws. Others stared at Daniel Hayes and Laura Bennett like they were dangerous animals kept in a cage for study. Elder Vorn finally spoke. His voice came out quieter than before. You have shown us pieces, old wars, old weapons, a plan you call Eclipse, but you have not shown the full thing. We need to see it all, every part, no more shadows. Open the records. Let us judge if this was necessary. Daniel Hayes did not answer right away. He looked at Laura. She gave a small nod. Her face stayed calm, but her fingers tightened on the edge of the console in front of her. Very well, Daniel said. He touched his wrist device one more time. This hologram was different. It grew slowly. It filled the whole center of the room like a dark cloud opening up. Lines of text appeared first, then maps, then moving pictures. Numbers ran across the bottom in red. This is the full Protocol Eclipse, Daniel said. Not a weapon, not one bomb or one ship. It is a chain. Many steps, all ready to start if the last wall falls. The hologram showed Earth first, a beautiful blue ball turning slowly. Then it zoomed out. Dots appeared around the planet, small stations hidden in high orbit. Others floated near the moon. Some waded deep in the ocean trenches. All of them looked normal from far away. Rocks, old satellites, nothing special. Step 1, Laura explained. Mirrors. Big sheets of thin metal in space. They catch light from the sun. They focus it like a giant burning glass. If turned on, they send fire down to the surface. Not everywhere, just key places. Cities, farms, forests. The fires start small, then they grow. Winds carry them. In days, whole continents burn. A delegate from the Aviari people made a soft cry. Counselor Mira had bright blue feathers. She covered her beak with one wing. You would turn your own world into ash? Yes, Laura said, because if enemies land and start to take it, we leave them nothing worth taking. The hologram moved to other human worlds, colony planets, mining moons, trade stations. More hidden machines appeared on the map. Some looked like drilling rigs, others like weather towers. A few were buried under ice or sand. Step 2, Daniel continued. The ground opens. Old reactors wake up. They were built to make power. Now they make poison. They push bad air into the sky, heavy metals into rivers. Seeds long asleep start to grow. Tiny life forms made from Earth's strongest bacteria. They change fast. They eat stone. They make gas that kills most lungs that are not human. The air becomes thick. The water turns black. Plants die. Animals die. In months, a living world becomes dead rock. Advisor Kale stood up fast. His chair scraped loud against the floor. This is not war. This is madness. You plan to murder planets. Daniel looked at him without anger. We plan to make sure no one gains from our death. If they want our home, they get a grave instead. The hologram kept going. Now it showed deep space. Tiny points of light moved outward from human borders. They looked like dust at first, then closer. Small machines, each one no bigger than a human hand. They flew slow. They found asteroids. They took metal. They built copies of themselves. More machines, then more. The process looked quiet, patient. Step 3, Laura said. The spread. These machines do not fight. They do not shoot. They copy. They eat rock and ice. They turn it into more of themselves. In 10 years, one sector fills with them. In 50 years, whole arms of the galaxy change. Stars stay, but planets empty. No life, no cities, just dust and metal shells, drifting forever. A Vorath general, huge with thick scales, leaned forward. His voice rumbled low. You would poison the stars themselves? No, Daniel answered. We would poison the path behind us. If we fall, the enemy inherits nothing but silence. They cannot settle. They cannot rebuild. They can only watch everything they fought for turn slow and cold. The hologram showed one last thing. A single red button on a screen deep underground. Words above it read, Eclipse, Final Authorization. Below it, a timer. 0 days, 0 hours, ready. Counselor Mira spoke again. Her voice shook. You would burn the galaxy to save one small species? Laura turned to her. We would burn our own home first. The rest follows only if they keep coming. We do not start the fire for hate. We start it for the promise. No one takes what is ours without paying everything. Elder Vorn raised both hands. The hologram froze. The room lights dimmed a little. You sent this to the Krell, he said. It was not a question. Daniel nodded. One packet, encrypted, direct to their highest command. Full maps, full steps, live links to our hidden stations. Proof that every part was real and ready. They opened it. Their leaders looked. They ran the numbers. They saw the end. Not just for us, for them, for their children, for their worlds. They saw no victory, only ash. They sent one message back. We stop. Their fleet turned. They asked for terms the next day. A soft wave moved through the delegates. Some looked sick. Some looked thoughtful. The Drakon general nodded slowly. Cold, but clear. A warrior understands. A last blade, hidden in the cloak. Advisor Kale slammed one fist on his seat. This council cannot allow it. You threaten every species here. Daniel spoke before Laura could answer. His voice stayed even. We do not threaten, we warn. This plan stays asleep, unless someone forces our hand. The Krell forced it close. They stopped before it woke. That is why peace holds now. Elder Vorn studied the two humans for a long time. His pale eyes moved from one face to the other. You carry this shadow, he said at last. You keep it hidden, yet you bring it here to show us. Why? Daniel answered without pause. Because secrets breed fear. Fear breeds mistakes. If you know what waits behind our words, you will not push us to use it. You will talk. You will trade. You will live beside us. That is better for everyone. The chamber stayed quiet again. No one moved to speak. The stars outside the crystal walls looked farther away than ever. Laura placed one hand on the console. She did not press anything. She just waited, ready if needed. Daniel looked around the room once more. We have shown you everything. Now you know what humanity keeps in the dark. Judge us if you want. Expel us if you must. But remember this. The shadow does not move unless forced. And if it moves, nothing stops it. The words fell like stones into still water. Ripples spread. No one answered right away. The third part of the meeting ended there. The crystal chamber felt smaller now. The air seemed thicker after the full reveal of Protocol Eclipse. Delegates shifted in their seats. Eyes moved from the dark space where the hologram had been to the two humans who stood so still in the center. No one wanted to speak first. The weight of what they had seen pressed down on everyone. Then the Draken general stood. His name was Gorvath. He was tall, even for his kind. Thick black scales covered his arms and chest. Sharp horns curved back from his head. When he spoke, his voice rolled like distant thunder. Humans, he said, you show us a blade held at your own throat. You say you will cut first if pushed. That takes a kind of strength few have. My people respect such things. We have our own last stands. We do not hide them. We shout them. But yours is quiet, cold. That makes it stronger. A few Vorath delegates nodded. Their red eyes glowed brighter. One of them tapped a claw on his seat in slow rhythm. It sounded like agreement. Advisor Kale jumped to his feet again. His green skin flushed darker with anger. Respect? You speak of respect for this madness? They plan to kill worlds, to spread death like a disease across the stars. This council exists to stop such things. Gorvath turned his head slowly toward Kale. And your people, Zarathi, what did you do when the Krell burned your border worlds 10 cycles ago? You sent words, strong words, then you waited. Humans did not wait. They acted. The Krell fear them now. That fear buys peace for all of us. Kale opened his mouth but no sound came out at first. He looked around. Some delegates avoided his eyes. Others stared back with hard faces. Counselor Mira of the Aviari stood next. Her blue feathers trembled a little. I do not like this plan, she said softly. It frightens me. But I remember my own history. Long ago, my people faced hunters from the void. We fled. We hid. Many nests burned. We survived only because others fought harder. If humans carry this shadow to keep hunters away, perhaps it serves more than just them. Elder Vorn listened without moving. His pale face showed nothing, but his long fingers curled slowly on the arm of his chair. A small delegate from the Lyran Collective rose. She looked like a floating orb of soft light. Her voice came out musical and calm. Logic says remove the threat. Vote to force them to dismantle it. But emotion says wait. If we force them out, they keep the plan anyway, and they leave angry. If we let them stay, the plan stays hidden. Peace continues. Which path has less risk? Murmurs started, low at first, then louder. Voices overlapped. Some called for expulsion. Others asked for more talks. A few said nothing, and just watched. Daniel Hayes raised one hand. The room quieted slowly. We hear you, he said. We understand the fear. We feel it too. This plan was not made for joy. It was made in dark times when we thought the end was close. We built it so the end would never come. If you vote to expel us, we will go. Quietly. We will not fight here, but we will not destroy what keeps us safe. That is our line. We do not cross it. Laura Bennett spoke next. Her voice stayed level. If you force this, you force a choice. We leave the council. We close our borders tighter. We watch, and the shadow stays. No one knows when or if it wakes. That is worse for trust than letting it sleep inside these walls. Gorvath laughed once. It was short and rough. Smart words. You speak like warriors who know the cost. I say, let them stay. Watch them. Trade with them. Fight beside them if needed. But never forget the shadow. Fear of it will keep the Krell quiet. And others too. Kale shook his head hard. No, this sets a bad example. If every young species builds its own eclipse, what happens then? The galaxy burns piece by piece. Mira answered him. Not every species will. Most lack the memory of near death. Humans remember. That memory makes the difference. They do not build it for power. They build it for survival. Elder Vorn finally stood. The chamber went silent at once. All eyes turned to him. He looked at Daniel and Laura for a long time. Then he spoke. This council does not vote today. Not on expulsion, not on demands. We need time. We need thought. The Accords allow recess in matters of grave weight. I call it now. 7 cycles. Return then with clear minds. He paused. His eyes stayed on the humans. But know this, the shadow you carry is seen. It cannot be unseen. You remain members for now. Use that time well. Show us more than darkness. Show us why light still matters to you. Daniel bowed his head a little. We will. Laura did the same. The delegates began to rise. They moved toward the exits in small groups. Whispers followed them. Some looked back at the humans with new eyes. Respect, fear, curiosity, a mix of all three. Daniel and Laura stayed in the center until most had left. Then, they walked toward the wide doors that led to the docking rings. In the empty corridor outside, the stars looked bright through the clear walls. Their shuttle waited a short walk away. Laura broke the silence first. Do you think they will vote against us in 7 cycles? Daniel kept walking. Some will, Kale and his allies, but others won't. Gorvath spoke for many warrior kinds. Mira spoke for the gentle ones. The balance holds for now. She glanced at him. And if it tips, then we leave. We go home. We keep the promise we made to ourselves long ago. They reached the shuttle door. It opened with a soft hiss. Before they stepped inside, a small light blinked on Daniel's wrist device. A private message from Elder Vorn. He opened it. No words appeared. Only one symbol. The old Lirathi mark for restrained fire. A flame held tight in a closed hand. It meant understanding. It meant caution. It meant no attack yet. Daniel showed it to Laura. She looked at the symbol for a moment. Then she said, They see the fire, but they also see the hand holding it back. Daniel closed the message. That is enough for today. They stepped into the shuttle. The door closed behind them. Engines hummed low. The craft pulled away from the crystal station. Behind them, the council chamber stood empty. Lights dimmed, but the shadow of humanity's darkest plans stayed. Not gone, not forgotten, just waiting. And in that waiting, a new kind of peace began to grow. Thin, careful, built on the quiet knowledge that some lines should never be crossed. Because if they were, nothing would remain to argue about. The 7 cycles passed slowly. Delegates returned to Alaris Prime, one by one. Some came early to talk in quiet corners. Others arrived at the last moment. The crystal chamber looked the same. Bright walls, rows of seats, stars outside. But the air felt different now. Everyone carried the memory of the shadow shown 7 cycles before. Daniel Hayes and Laura Bennett walked in last. They wore the same simple clothes. Dark suit for him, navy uniform for her. No extra guards, no big show. Just 2 humans who knew what waited if things went wrong. Elder Vorn sat in his high seat. He looked older somehow. His white hair seemed thinner, but his eyes stayed sharp. When the last delegate took a seat, he raised one hand. The room became quiet at once. We have talked, Elder Vorn said. We have thought. We have listened to many voices. Today we decide. Not with anger, not with fear alone, with clear minds. He looked straight at Daniel and Laura. Humans, you showed us your darkest plan. You did not hide it. You did not lie. You said it sleeps unless forced awake. Many here still fear it. Some respect it. A few understand it too well. Advisor Kale stood first. His voice shook with anger. This council must act. Expel them. Force them to destroy the plan, or leave them outside our laws. We cannot share peace with a species that holds death for all. Gorvath, the Drakon general, answered without standing. And if we expel them, what changes? They keep the plan. They watch us from far away. They trade less. They talk less. The fear grows bigger. Better to keep them close. Better to see their moves. Counselor Mira spoke next. Her feathers looked brighter today. I still do not like the shadow, but I like war even less. The Krell stay quiet now. Their reign stopped. Trade ships move again on old routes. If we push humans away, that quiet may break. I say let them stay. Watch them. Hold them to the accords. But do not force the hand that holds the fire back. Other voices joined, some short, some long. A Lyran light being floated forward and said, Balance matters most. Remove the humans, risk new wars. Keep them, risk the shadow. But the shadow has not moved in long years. It may never move if we choose peace. Elder Vorn listened to every word. He did not interrupt. When the last voice fell silent, he stood slowly. No vote today will end this, he said. No rule will erase what humans carry. But we do not need to erase it. We need to live with it. The Council chooses to accept humanity as members, full members, with all rights and all duties. The shadow stays their burden, not ours. But we will remember it, always. A soft sound moved through the chamber. Not cheers, not anger, just air let out after holding breath too long. Kale sat down hard. His face looked tight, but he said nothing more. Gorvoth gave a small nod to Daniel, a warrior's sign of respect. Mira closed her eyes for a moment, then she opened them and looked at the humans with something close to trust. Daniel stepped forward one step. Thank you, he said simply. We will keep our word. We will follow the accords. We will build. We will trade. We will share what we can. And we will keep the shadow asleep. Laura added, the plan exists so it never needs to be used. That is our promise to you, and to ourselves. Elder Vorn looked at them both for a long time. Then he made the old Lirathi sign again, the glyph for restrained fire. He showed it clear for everyone to see. Go in peace, he said. But know we watch, as neighbors who remember. The meeting ended there. No big speeches, no loud words. Delegates stood and left in small groups. Some stopped to speak with Daniel or Laura. Short words, careful words. A few even shook hands or touched arms in their own ways. When the chamber emptied, Daniel and Laura walked the long corridor to their shuttle once more. Stars shone bright outside the clear walls. Laura looked at Daniel. It worked, she said quietly. For now, he answered. They chose the hard path, living with the truth instead of fighting it. They reached the shuttle. The door opened. They stepped inside. The craft hummed to life. It pulled away slow from the crystal station. As they moved into open space, Daniel's wrist device blinked again. Another private message, from Elder Vorn. He opened it. This time words came with the symbol. You showed us the end so we could choose a different beginning. Hold the fire tight. Let the galaxy grow around it. We will help if we can. Daniel read it twice. Then he closed the message. Laura watched his face. Good news? Enough, he said. Enough to keep going. Their ship turned toward the jump point. Earth waited many light years away, but home felt closer now. Behind them, the council station grew small. Lights dimmed in empty halls, but the knowledge stayed. Humanity carried a shadow darker than most could bear. Yet they carried it not to destroy, they carried it to protect. And in that strange balance, a new peace took root. Not perfect, not without fear, but real, strong, built on the quiet understanding that some species would rather end everything than surrender. That truth kept the Krell fleets in their yards. It kept raiders on the edge of known space. It kept old enemies talking instead of shooting. The galaxy turned on. Worlds spun. Life continued. And somewhere deep in human space, machines waited in silence. Ready, patient, unmoving. Because the promise held. No one would take what was theirs without paying the highest price. And because of that promise, no one tried. The end came not in fire. It came in quiet.